So I just got out of seeing Megalopolis. It was one of my most anticipated films of the year. I sort of steered clear from some of the trailers because I didn't want anything to get spoiled, which I knew nothing would. But I listened to some of the reviews coming out of Cannes, and I listened to the panel that they did, and I've just enjoyed hearing Francis talk about this film. It is a passion project of his. He's been wanting to make it for 40 years. He sold part of his winery. I mean, he funded this film $120 million, which is nuts. And I didn't necessarily have high expectations going into it, but it was one of my most anticipated films, if that makes sense. Just because I really wanted to see what it was going to be. And I'm looking at the cast right now because I want to make sure that I get everybody's name, or at least most of the names, because it's a stacked cast. Adam Driver, Natalie Emanuel, Shia LaBeouf, Aubrey Plaza, John Voight, Gus Fring, Esposito, I know how to say his last name, I don't want to butcher it, Dustin Hoffman, golly, just so many, Lawrence Fishburne, Jason Schwartzman. There's so many people in this film. It's absolutely nuts. I want to be completely honest talking about this film because I don't want to be the person that says, oh yeah, it's amazing, it's a masterpiece, Francis Ford Coppola made it. I'm going to go ahead and say that this film was basically Coppola saying, fuck it, I'm going to make whatever I want to make. And that's so admirable because you don't see films like this. Like, it's not even the case of you don't see films like this anymore. You just don't see films like this in theaters, especially to this capacity. I mean, this film, I've seen jokes about this film. I saw one where it was basically a Tubi movie in IMAX. Look, I'll be completely honest. Some of the visual effects, some of the CGI was not all there. There's a specific part, which I'm not going to spoil anything with the film, but there's a specific part at the beginning of it where you get to see a certain thing, and it's CGI. It's like right at the very beginning, and it really did throw me off. I was like, whew, I mean, that could have been done a little bit differently. So then you get to the point where you think, okay, well, did he want it to look like that? And I'm going to read off the official synopsis right here because you could definitely, you could basically comprise the plot down to, okay, it is New Rome, which is basically New York, and you're watching, let me just read it. A conflict between Caesar, a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian, idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, greed, special interest, and partisan warfare. Golly, it's actually more than that. It is more than that. It's at times it kind of felt like Shakespeare. I'm not going to lie. This film, what it does is it takes so many different ideas and crams it into almost 2.5 hours. It's 2 hours and 18 minutes. And it is paced okay, I guess. It's not. There were some moments where, and this doesn't happen to me a lot whenever I watch a film. Usually if a film drags, it usually sort of stays that way. And sometimes films are meant to do that. But not often. I just want to clarify that. But there were moments in this where I would basically be really into it, and then it would kind of dip a little bit, and then I'd be right back into it again, and then sort of do the same thing. So it was just, pacing wise, it was just very strange. You can tell that Francis Ford Coppola just had a lot of stuff going on in his head. And I know there's a lot of controversy with the film, firing half the art department, or all the art department, I think. Some allegations regarding the director, stuff like that. But I'm not going to get into that stuff. Whether I should or not, it's just I am talking about the movie. And if I'm being honest, and I don't want to lie about it, I actually enjoyed it, and for the most part, I enjoyed it for the most part. I was a little bit mixed until I got out of the theater, and I started thinking, the film was not that bad. Like, thinking about it, technically, just from enjoyability, it would take some time, but I would probably watch it again. Adam Driver's performance I thought was great. I think Adam Driver is just one of those actors where if you get him in a film, he's going to do great, I think. And I felt like there were some performances that felt very off. Like, John Voight, there were a few times, and it's not even his acting, it was just sort of the way that he was utilized in it that really threw me off. But Shia LaBeouf, he is the definition of going for it. Like, he took this role and he made it his own, and he just went with it. And I was so surprised, because when I saw the behind the scenes photos of Shia LaBeouf, I was like, what is going on? I am very intrigued. And this film is going to have some controversial moments. There's a moment actually towards the end where it's such a change of atmosphere. It's such a different scenario that the film doesn't even necessarily, it kind of hints at it at the beginning, but then whenever you see these two characters interact like this, it was very off-putting, but I don't think it was for no reason. I really do think it was there for seduction, manipulation, and I'm not going to say that it was executed perfectly, but I understood why that moment was in there, if that makes sense. Hopefully, for those of you guys that have seen that, I'm making sense of that. Do I think that general audiences are going to enjoy this film? I don't know. I had a weird thought in my head where you look at films that are extremely abstract like this, and films that are kind of pushing boundaries, like you look at 2001, or you look at Tree of Life from Terrence Malick, which those are really two films that, in a sense, I would compare this film to, just from like almost maybe a meditative perspective, because there are moments in this film where it's all visuals, and some of them are executed pretty well, but it was just, I'm not sure what to think of it. I don't know this, like, I wonder if people are just going to try to get, like, go into the film and with a certain state of mind and try to enjoy it that way, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know how well this film is going to do. I've not seen this film marketed like crazy. I've not seen much. I've not really seen many things about this. Even whenever it comes to reviews and people talking about it, I've not seen many people discuss the film. One thing that I do want to discuss, and I'm going to be completely honest about this, is its Oscar chances, because I don't think it does have any Oscars chances. But there are some films, like, when I think about it, like, there is one category that I think Megalopolis would actually fare pretty well in. Like, I would not be upset if it got a nomination in this category, and it's the editing. The editing in this film is it's extremely good. Like, I was shocked. Like, I was really just focused on the editing, where there were a few points in the film after I got done watching those moments, I was actually excited, hoping they would do it again. They sort of do some things, like, if you look, I don't want to get into spoilers, but I mean, like Napoleon from 1925-27, there's a section of that film that they sort of do crazy editing, and it sort of reminded me of that. Which, looking at it right now, there's two editors. It's Cam McLaughlin and Glenn Scantlebury. Yeah, so there's two editors on this film, which does not surprise me, because the editing is, it's intense. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do think this film deserves an editing nomination. I will die on that hill, just like I think Longlegs deserves a cinematography nomination, just like I think Challengers deserves a best picture, a best director, a best cinematography, like, even a best editing. Like, I mean, there's just films that I don't think are going to fare well at the Oscars, but I can acknowledge, you know, logistically, hey, this stuff is good, it should probably be recognized. But Megalopolis, should you watch it? I think that if you're looking for something different and you just want to go in blind and just see if you can accept this film, you definitely should. If you're not a fan of films that are very abstract, films that are very experimental, films that push boundaries, something that is, I'm not going to lie, kind of weird for 2.5 hours, you might not like this film. It might not be for you. If you're a fan of Francis Ford Coppola or cinema, come on, I mean, you gotta watch this movie. Right? And I'm just more so happy that Francis Ford Coppola got to make it. The way that I look at it is, it doesn't really matter what anybody thinks of this film. It doesn't matter if the film's good or bad. The fact of the matter is he made The Godfather 1 and 2, The Conversation, Apocalypse Now, The Outsiders, Rumblefish. I mean, you could even say Dracula and, I mean, Godfather Part 3 if you love those films. He's made a lot of bangers, and honestly, this is kind of like a reward to him to be able to make this film. and I'm so glad that he did. I thought it was very unique, and if he makes another film, I wonder what it's going to be, because I just don't know. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. You guys can follow me on Instagram. You guys can check out my short films down in the description below. Let me know what you thought of Megalopolis. If you've seen it, let me know what you think of it. No spoilers down in the comments below. But anyway, guys, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.